So it's my pleasure to introduce Dave, who is the organizer of the Role Models competition, blue and white belt tournament, and also owner of Role Models Gym in Leek.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So welcome to Jits Quips.
Thank you. It's an impressive setup. I'm impressed today. Yeah, appreciate you coming down.
Thank you. Yeah, and thanks for letting us come and cover the show.
Yeah, no worries. Like I said, we had a brief conversation about what you guys do, and it's nice to see people supporting the scene, and rising tide rises all ships, isn't the phrase? I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to see the content coming out there. So any way I can help you guys, I'm happy to.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a good day for us actually. We've managed to follow a couple of people's competition journey. We didn't manage to call out any gold medal winners.
Right.
Actually, one lad won gold in the gi.
Yeah.
But we didn't catch that. We just caught his no-gi stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been good, and we managed to speak to a couple of the high-level competitors, Abraham.
Yeah.
Dunnan.
Yeah.
And we spoke to Joffy. You know Joffy?
I do know Joffy. Yeah. Everyone knows Joffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I train with Joffy at Horizon as well. So
Okay.
I've trained with Joffy for a few years now. Yeah.
So what belt are you?
I'm brown belt.
Brown belt?
Yeah. I've been a brown belt for a while now. Originally, like a lot of guys, I was training in MMA. Kind of looked down upon the gi, and then I think there was kind of a mass exodus of people as they get a little bit older, just starting to appreciate the gi and BJJ. And then once I started training BJJ under David Morsegow over in Burton, who's a De La Riva black belt, it just opened my eyes to the sport, and just didn't look back really. I was just a bit sad that I didn't go for jiu-jitsu either when I started MMA or before MMA, because I think it's just I mean, I love MMA. My other job is in MMA as well. I work in MMA as well. MMA is great, but jiu-jitsu for me, especially in terms of the competing side of it. I mean, you see here, we got guys 45, 50 years old in divisions,
Yeah.
There's no way you can go and have a box. Well, you can have a boxing fight at 50 years old. I wouldn't suggest it.
No.
Same as MMA. But jiu-jitsu, you can compete into your senior years and still stay competitive. Whereas with sports like boxing and MMA, realistically, do you want to be sparring when you're in your 40s and 50s and 60s? Like, probably not. So
there's only so much trauma you can take when it comes to striking, right?
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, it's still, you can hit the pads and still have fun with it. But I think BJJ is a sport for either pro fighters and athletes who are, post MMA careers, which was a lot of the guys that I kind of watched and did bits and pieces with when I was in MMA years and years ago, watching MMA. Guys like Lee Remedios, loads of them, Aaron Chatfield, like loads of these guys, Chris Thompson, all of these guys who kind of had careers in MMA, then went over to the gi and really started. Paul Reed, another guy, and you just see them flourishing in the masters divisions and that kind of thing. And yeah, it's something I think is just sustainable, hopefully for the rest of your life, if you keep, your back and your knee. It's not to say it goes without its injuries, but I do think it's a sport that you can continue. And the good thing about jiu-jitsu is your game can constantly evolve to, just doing something to stay on the mat. So I've got a very experienced judoka at my place he's been a black belt in judo for over 20 years. And he's come over to BJJ now because he's in his 60s and he feels like he can't train judo because obviously high impact throws and whatever. He still coaches judo, but he's looking at BJJ to give him that extra little lease of life as he goes into the latter stages. So I think that's the major benefit of BJJ is, you can do it throughout your life. But as I say, I wish I started when I was 17, 18 and not, I think I was probably 28, 29 when I started, 30 maybe. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big, it's a vast sport, isn't it? So the guys that get to start at a younger age have more of an opportunity to to delve into everything that it has
I mean,
to
it's
offer.
when you look at some of these young kids, like if you watch something like an international tournament, and you look at some of their 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old, even the blue belt divisions, this is no offense to, say, hobbyist level black belts, but they would struggle in these divisions. You know, when you look at the level of some of these kids that are training every single day of the week, you know, and honestly, you watch, if you've got access to Flow or some of those channels, and you just sit there and you just watch the matches that aren't commentated, no one really knows about, and you just can't believe the level, you know, it's absolutely through the roof. So, yeah, the new generation coming through, it's scary. I mean, even I've noticed since role models started, if you look at the level of blue belt, especially no-gi, now compared to, say, 6-7 years ago, it's through the roof. Everybody's improving all the time. But yeah, for the youngsters, it's a different level. It's almost a different sport that's evolving at the moment, you know.
Yeah, I think that the sport is becoming more popular, and there's more eyes on it. There's more accessible information, tutorials out there. So I think it's bound to happen, isn't it? The younger generation are going to take it and do their own stuff with it.
Yeah.
But I've seen a couple of, I think they were 15 and 16 lads competing, and I couldn't distinguish what was going on. It was that quick.
Yeah.
And what it reminded me of is like two cats fighting. And it's just submission, done. And I was like, I didn't even see what was happening there. Just the reaction time.
It really is. I mean, you look at kids. We were lucky to have the Ruotolos over for a seminar through role models. Chris Thompson at Grapple Fest put us in contact with him. We had Ty and Cade come over for a seminar, and you know, you look at them when they were 15, 16 years old. And again, I go back to it, and like I say, it's no offense to hobbyist black belts, but you put a 15-year-old Ty Ruotolo down with anybody, he's, you know, as I said, it's just a different level that they're training at, and I think coming through and for the future, the sky really is the limit. I think the struggle for the sport now is how do we, and everybody's trying to market a brand, but the sport as a spectator sport. Obviously, there's a lot of shows. I've worked with shows, you know, like Grapple Fest and Polaris, and that's kind of. I see the next generation when you look at the Mika Galvaos and the Ruotolos and all these guys. They're not only good, they're really super dynamic and exciting, and they're not really trying to. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with having a game that's going to benefit the rule set, you know, and points jiu-jitsu, I've got nothing against it. But some of these young kids that are coming through are so dynamic and quick. Like you say, it's like watching two cats in a ball. And I think that's the way, especially on the no-gi side, that it could potentially become a bigger spectator sport. I've worked with some shows that are also trying to do similar things with the gi and whatever, but I think the no-gi kids coming through now, those are the ones that could push the sport to the next level in terms of spectators. I mean, in terms of a martial art to study or do in your town, I think BJJ seems unstoppable in that way. You know, there's the amount of clubs that are opening and the amount of attention the sport's getting, and that comes from a lot of celebrities as well. Obviously, your classics, your Joe Rogans and people like that. But I think there's no statistics on it, but I would imagine BJJ is the fastest growing martial art in the world. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't, and I don't know what would beat it. I just think the next thing seems to be the struggle is to turn it into a kind of a mainstream spectator sport. But as I say, I think with this next generation coming up, because there's going to be guys that are going to make Micah Galvao and the Ruotolos look old soon, you know, and it's a scary thought. So it's going to be an interesting kind of next 5-10 years, I think.
Well, so I've been thinking about slogans for the podcast, Jits Quips, and one slogan was Jits Quips, making BJJ the new football.
Yeah. And I mean, it's funny, the new football, because I remember Dana saying something similar about UFC, but I think it was about 10 years ago. I think obviously at the core, when you start looking at sports like football and comparison, it's the accessibility. And that's always going to be the minor issue for BJJ, in terms of, if you've got a sport like football, you know, you've got kids from very working class backgrounds or from poorer areas, say, it's easy to get a ball and pick it up and kick it down the street, you know, it always has been, and that's the attraction for it. Even when you look at martial arts, you can get a kid into an amateur boxing gym and they might pay £2 or £3 a session, you know, and it'll be packed full of 30-40 kids, and they get funding through the government, etc. With jiu-jitsu, obviously there is barriers in terms of cost. You've got to get a gi, maybe. There's a few less gyms about, so there is still a few barriers in terms of, I think, making it fully mainstream. I think certain things that might push it over is BJJ in schools. You know, where you've got kind of wrestling programs in schools. I work in this school here as in my day job. We teach jiu-jitsu, and I think something like that, just the kind of structure that judo kind of seems to have more structure in terms of the Sport England backing and bits and pieces, but it's maybe not as fashionable as BJJ right now. But I think if BJJ had that backing and was somewhere like in schools or mandatory in police forces, or, do you know what I mean, getting that constant thing, then I think that would take it to the next level. But yeah, like, I think the only thing that's holding it back now is the accessibility and the cost. And I know a lot of, you know, I was speaking to Simon McGovern, he's got a gym in Stoke, he's only charging, I think he said he was charging £4 for his kids' class, which I think is amazing, you know. But there is still that small barrier, I think, compared to football. But yeah, the future's bright. I can only see it going one way. And from my point of view of watching this competition, like in the UK, I think we had Empire yesterday. I think they were in the northeast, so Middlesbrough they were in. There's Grapple Industries in London today, and there was another comp, I'm not sure where it is. There is no way the UK could have done 4 busy comps 10 years ago. You know, like it was always a case of, if there was a comp clash, it was kind of like, oh my God, where's everyone going to go? There'll be no people at the other one. But I'm guessing, I know Empire, I know Jake is super successful, so they would have had big brackets. Grapple Industries, huge comp as well. And as you can see down here, even though we're only white and blues, like, it's big divisions, you know, and we're busy. So that just goes to show, even on and we're looking at a small percentage of people that train jiu-jitsu compete, right? So overall, the explosion must be huge. So
it's happening.
Yeah, we're definitely going in the right direction. That's for sure.
I want to say thanks for putting on this competition. I mean, I've competed here twice.
Have you?
Yeah.
That's ace. I didn't know that. That's good.
In the past, it was my first competition. Yeah. Then Big Sam, who trains at Trident Martial Arts Gym with us. Yeah. He mentioned it on episode 3 that this is his favourite competition. He's won every single match he's had here.
Has he? That'll help, right?
That'll help. Yeah.
Yeah, we just try and do things a little bit different. You know, I don't see, for me personally, I don't see why comps put people through kind of undue stress, you know, and you have this kind of attitude that once you've paid for the comp, customer service is out the window. Yeah. And for me, it's all about, and it sounds cheesy, but it's about selling an experience. Yeah. And I've competed at different kind of comps, from like local little comps to more kind of IBJJF based comps with a ball pen and things like that. And to be honest, like that was a thing when I spoke to competitors that they were kind of put off by. So we just try and be a little bit more relaxed, you know, and play a bit of music and try and do things a little bit differently.
It's still like really well run as well, and all the staff are great and helpful. Like you know where you're at. You've got the smooth comp on the big screen in the warm up area, so you know when a round you're going to be on, if it's running quick, if it's running late, which is really good. Well, I've been to other competitions and you're literally waiting for them to shout your category, and then it's like, oh, okay, I'm on. Like you don't know where you're at with it.
I think I'm quite fortunate as well, because most of my staff are people I either train with at gyms or friends, and you know, it's the kind of vibe of friendship, and everybody's trying to do their best for me, which I really appreciate. And you know, before the show got off the ground, they were all volunteering. You know, nobody was getting paid. They were coming down doing a full day. I've had people that have come down here, done 2 days work, and won't take a penny off me. You know, now obviously we're in a position where everybody gets paid, and it's. But without that help in the early days, it would have been very difficult, because the only staff we bring in are referees. Everybody else is basically, you know, either trains at Horizon in Stoke, trains at my gym, trains somewhere else. So they're all friends, and I think that kind of it kind of rubs off, because sometimes, you know, you can get a load of staff in a leisure centre, you don't really know them, they don't feel like they owe the product anything, you know, and then someone comes and asks them a question, oh, when am I on? And you know, you just get the hand, or that can ruin your whole day, you know. Yeah,
you're already stressed out to the max.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, I would be a liar. Like, some of the questions that I get asked are insane. Like, you can imagine before a comp, like running the socials on the website, like it's just me. You know, there's one guy, and you know, people will send in just bizarre questions and stuff. But you just got to put yourself in their shoes and think, this guy is probably nervous. He's been up for like 2-3 nights, sleepless nights. He's wondering what it is, and you know, he needs to know whether he can wear socks that day, or what. Do you know what I mean? It's like weird little questions like that. But I just, if I can, I always try and give people the time and just answer, because a lot of comps, I think it's improved over the years. But you know, people will say, I emailed, didn't get a response. I sent a message, didn't get a response. You know, and it's kind of like, we've got your money, see you later, and you know, that was it. It's like brackets and stuff like that. If somebody doesn't turn up on the day, and there's somewhere I can make a match happen for you, and you know, I can get, why wouldn't I do it? Rather than go, here's a default medal, go home. Like, who does that help?
Well, I was going to say, and if this is something that would interest you next time, I mean, I was going to say, if you need an extra person for a bracket or something, you could just give me a shout and be
you're ready to jump in? Yeah, 100%. Absolute at the end of the day, mate. You can jump in. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm up. It's on me. Yeah, right. Next one, jump in the absolute. Next time, Are you blue belt?
Blue belt, yeah.
Yeah, jump in the. Don't get a purple before April.
Oh,
April 21.
No chance of that, mate. I got promoted December.
Oh, you're good. You're
December,
good then.
So I've got a good few years at blue belt.
You're good. You're good. Yeah, but April 21st, whatever. I think it's 21st, the Sunday, or the 22nd. That'll be the next one. So,
all right.
Yeah, if you're around.
It's going to be a busy month for us, because we're going to Grapple Wars as well.
Okay.
On the 13th of April in Runcorn. So
is that a sub-only show?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
They've done a few now. So they had one a couple of weeks ago. It's Ben Stokes.
Okay.
And he's got a partner as well.
Right. That's been an explosion in terms of sub-onlys. That's kind of why I stopped doing it, to be honest. Like, I did an original one, submitting things, it was called. We did like a 16-man open tournament. Owen O'Flanagan armbarred Ross Nichols in the final. Like, it was a one-night tournament. It was really good, a real good vibe. We did a couple afterwards. But now, like, that scene just shot through the roof. And I feel now like it's a situation where, like, I had a couple super fights today with really, really good people. But they're approaching me and asking to compete. I feel now like, and I don't know if Grapple Wars do, so I'm not trying to put them in trouble. But I feel now, if I'm going to put on a sub only, like, I need to have prize money, or I need to pay someone, you know, for the top guys. And it's different if you've got blues, purples, browns coming up, whatever. But when you've got these guys, you know, your full-time guys, like a Shane Curtis or guys like that, you know, it's hard now to think you're going to put on a show, sell tickets, and not give them something. At the same time, there's not a lot of money in it, you know. So it's that teetering point.
It's tough, isn't it?
It is,
especially because you want to support them on their journey, right? They're doing this sort of more like career orientated towards jiu-jitsu, but then it's the balance, isn't it? Like everyone's got to make their money from it.
And the sad thing is, like, it's a bit like when I remember this from MMA shows. If somebody has their first MMA fight, everybody comes. Your nan, you know what I mean, your babysitter, everyone's down. Sure. You know, it's a big occasion. Then your second fight, a few less people come. By the time your third fight's there, you know, you've got 2 mates there or whatever, right? Yeah. And I think it's the same with jiu-jitsu. It's like, because it's hard to sell a ticket when you faced a black belt last week and now you've got someone at the end of the month, and you know it is difficult. And generally, I guess those shows are probably going to rely on the blues and the purples to shift more tickets than the headliners, which is a weird way. But you know, you look at a Kev Corkle today, he's just such a talent. But he messages me, like I've had him, like Jack Grant I think he was Cage Warriors champion at the time. He was about 185, 190 pounds. Kev's gone in to face him, like giving up 30 pounds or whatever. Like, he will face anybody on any day, and he's such a talent. But you know, he's not going to sell you 30, 40 tickets. And it's like, that guy deserves to get paid. Like, how do we pay him?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, he's not going to sell tickets, but at the same time, he's so talented that you feel bad putting him on without giving him money, you know?
Yeah. I guess like the sort of the support, the monetary support for the talented people, like it hasn't quite caught up yet. Do you know what I mean?
No, it hasn't. And I think you've obviously I've worked with a few shows. Obviously, Grapple Fest is a great example of a UK show doing great things. But in terms of like investment, really, it's when you go out to the Middle East and you've got ADCC and a new one I've been working with, ADXC, but they have the budget to do it. You know, if you're going to try and grow a grassroots show from the bottom up in the UK, like, it's a hard thing to do. And it's why I think Chris at Grapplefest has done such a good job. If you think, he's had Mikey Musumeci on, and you know, he's had international Ruotolos. He's had international stars on and mixed it well with the UK. But I can't imagine how hard that is to do regularly. And then you're resetting the clock. And it's like, you bring Mikey Musumeci over, incredible 5-time world champion. If we go out in the street, are people going to buy a ticket to come and see him? Like, you'd hope so. But I mean, I had Mikey here for a seminar, and 3 or 4 days out from the seminar, I was looking at losing a considerable amount of money. Yeah. You know, and you're thinking to yourself, I've got a 5-time world champion in Stoke-on-Trent here on a cold Tuesday night, and I'm struggling to sell tickets. And it's like, sometimes you get caught in the bubble of it, you know, and you think it's almost like, oh, well, everybody will buy it. And yeah, we'll have Mikey, no problem. And then a few days out, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to lose a load of money. In the end, I ended up being all right. But it just goes to show it is a delicate balance, because we love it so much, you know, and you're obsessed with it, and you're training every day or as often as you can, and it's all you watch on TV. But then it's converting that into your everyday person on the street. Like we said, if we're thinking about football, it's like, how do you get that person to come and convince them to come and watch grappling and put money into the sport, you know? Because most of the pro grapplers and whatever, if you think you're a black belt, you're probably scrabbling your money together to support your training, not to go and pay £60 to go and watch Mikey or something.
You're concentrating on your training. You're not trying to whip up support to
you're
not calling around all your mates.
That's
and being
it.
Like, oh, you're going to come and watch
That's
me.
it. And you see it in MMA, like at a grassroots level. That's why I never would want to promote an MMA show at grassroots level, because for a number of reasons. But number one, you know, you see the nightmares they have. If you haven't got a ticket seller, you're looking at a serious loss, and then a ticket seller will pull out or whatever, and now suddenly your whole event's falling apart because 2 guys sold 400 tickets between them and they're injured. And now you're looking at losing a load of money, you know. And there's so many shows going on that it's just hard. It's hard. It sounds like quite negative now that I'm on jiu-jitsu, but no,
it's the reality, and you're in that line of business, so you've got a perspective on what it's like to do that. So it's not negative, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, you look at Polaris, like obviously that's underpinned as kind of being an advert for, you know, Tatami and Scramble and those brands, so they can kind of underpin that all.
Yeah.
And like I said, Chris has done really well to get to that level on his own, really. But yeah, I think that's the next step. Like, if you look at, there's shows in the States like Fight to Win, who were going out every week at different towns in America, and they've got firework entrances and gangways. So you know, it's happening out there. So it could happen for the UK. Fingers crossed. But like I said, I think for us, just moving probably forward with the blues and whites mostly now. Maybe dip into sub only now and again, but when we've got the budget to, you know, pay someone to put on a show.
So white belts and blue belts,
Yeah.
come and compete at Role Models. The Role Models 23.
Yeah, 23 be, I think it's April 21st, the Sunday, whatever the Sunday is that on weekend. But yeah, compete with us or just compete anywhere, you know, get out there and do it. But yeah, we appreciate the support. I've had the last 4 or 5 shows, we've sold out in early entry, you know. I think we had over 50 people on the waiting list for this one. So please just, if it sounds like a sales pitch, but to avoid disappointment, please sign up as quick as you can. Yeah, especially ladies divisions.
Yes.
Because it's everybody's waiting for someone else to sign up, you know, and then we get into this vicious circle where there's no one in there. Yeah, but put your name down. We will give you a refund 100% straight away if there's no one in your bracket. No questions asked. You know, nobody wants a default medal. So get your name down early, and we'll go from there. If you don't get any opponents, it's fine, but don't not sign up because there's no names in there. Yeah, that's a vicious circle. But yeah.
All right, we'll leave it there.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll cover the next one.
Great.
Yeah.
Happy to have you. Cheers, guys.
Cut.